Do you notice a difference with the newer generation, younger lawyers who are maybe coming with a less of a work ethic and two-thirds?
Thank you. That is a great point. Um, uh, there's no substitute for hard work. There's no way of doing certain tasks fast. And I have found that that is abundantly true. And I mean, no disrespect to the generation coming up, but there are different values. And that's the beauty of me being here with you, because your values are for generations, are for centuries. And that is something that I so love, because that's devoid in our society. Most people don't have direction. You guys are so lucky here, and I'll tell you why. When I was a prosecutor, I got involved in prosecuting some cases, and oftentimes there were families involved, children involved. And it broke my heart, because some of these kids had no one who cared about them. Literally, if they had breakfast, if there was, Fruit Loops, a box of Fruit Loops, fine. If there wasn't, they had no breakfast. Nobody cared if they had breakfast. Nobody cared if they went to school. Nobody cared if their assignments were complete in school. Imagine going through life. Just think about it for a second. You go through life, go through a day, knowing nobody cares about you. That's a sad situation. What you have here is the exact antithesis. Everyone here, think about it, has dedicated their life to you. Kind of crazy, isn't it? They've actually dedicated their life. This isn't casual for the people here. And we were talking a story about how this place was founded. It was like meant to be, and it's growing, and it's a beautiful thing. But know this, that the people you have who care about you and love you, it's a precious thing. It is a gift. It's an unbelievable gift. And at some point in time, I would hope that you do me a favor, that you thank people in the course of a day who do good things for you, whether it's a teacher, whether it's your parent, whether it could be someone in the cafeteria. But acknowledging to them that you appreciate their efforts, it goes a long way. It goes a long way. In fact, don't be surprised if one of the gentlemen here, grabs his chest. Oh, I think I'm having a heart attack, because you said thank you. Okay, you don't hear that.
That's a good case.
You don't hear that. So, but go on. More questions, please. Please.
What skills for your specific line of work and legal work?
Right. Great
what
question.
Skills are needed more to determine? Let's say somebody loves the law.
Great question.
And personal injury.
Great question.
Or
whatever. Yes. The first criterion. Oftentimes, friends will ask their daughter or son who's contemplating a career in law to speak with me. Okay. So I'll meet with them, talk to them, and my first question is, why do you want to be a lawyer? Right? The basic question, right? And it's shocking. I'd say 9 out of 10 times they have no idea, because their dad said they should, or their mom said they should, or they saw a TV show and they think it'd be fun being a lawyer. So, oh my God, there has to be more than that. Last night I talked to a young lady who wants to be a lawyer because her family suffered great misjustices with immigration coming into this country, and things that went wrong when they came in this country. And she wants to represent women who are immigrating into the United States. And it brought a tear to my eye. I said, I'm going to help you in any way I can, because that is a noble cause that you can get behind. So whatever, if not just the legal profession, whatever profession or whatever you choose, you have to have in your heart the honesty that it's meant to be. That's where we go back to the honesty thing, okay? So number one, to answer your question, is you need to have passion about why you're doing what you're doing. Real passion, okay? And secondly, the beauty of going into law is that there is no established prerequisite of what you have to do. When I went to law school, man, I had a former Cleveland Brown football player, Ambrose, who now became a judge, who since became a judge, now he's retired. But it could be eclectic. You could have someone with an engineering background, have someone with a medical background, whatever. But I think the ability to conceptualize and articulate and reason in your head is a critical thing. So it doesn't, you don't have to have a particular discipline coming from math, sciences, the languages. It could be anything. But I think the cornerstone of it is that you need to have real passion. And not just if you choose to be a lawyer, but I'm talking about anything in life. Question in the back, young man.
Where did you go for law school?
Thank you. I'm a local boy. Born, raised, went to school here. I went to it's not called Marshall anymore, but it's the Cleveland State University Law School. It was John Marshall, but because he was a slave owner, they pulled the name. I think it's just Cleveland State Law School now. I'm not certain. I went in the evening program because I needed to work. And I remember one time I was driving down to law school, and I just got out of work in the prosecutor's office, and I'm driving down. I went to school from 6 at night to 6 to 10 every night. And so I'm driving down, I look at my gas gauge, and I was on empty. So I pulled into a gas station. I had $5 in my pocket. I put $3 of gas in my car, drove through McDonald's, and got $2 worth of food. Now I'm out of money. Unfortunately, the next day, my electric bill was due, and I didn't have any money. So they shut off my lights. So when you have experiences like that, you know, the struggle is tough. I had the passion to do what I do. My maternal grandfather was an immigrant from Croatia. He was a bricklayer, and he came to Cleveland to make a better life for his family. He had a wife, Veronica, and 3 little babies. He was working at Tower City building Terminal Tower, and one day the scaffolding that he was working on collapsed, and he fell to his death. Well, my grandmother, my mom's mom, only got his final paycheck. She couldn't read or write a word of English, and she took in laundry during the day and cleaned offices at night. Yet she raised 3 wonderful kids, one being my mom. And so when I was 8 years old, my grandmother lived with us in Euclid, and my grandmother, she called me Timo, and she said, Timo, we're going somewhere today. I said, okay, fine. We took 3 buses to get downtown to Tower City Center. We walk into the concourse, and she takes me by the hand, she points up to the concourse, and she said, Timo, you see this place? I said, yeah, Graham. You know, she goes, your grandfather helped build this. I said, wow, Graham, who lives here? She goes, no, sweetheart, no one lives here. Lawyers have offices here. And if you study real hard and work real hard, someday you'll have an office here too. And then I said, now can I have my roasted cashews? That was the agreement. We come downtown, I get roasted cashews. You know? So she said, sure, here's your roasted cashew. Okay. Well, I became a lawyer, and I moved my offices into Tower City Center. And I went to see my grandmother. She was in a nursing home at the time. She was 100 years old. And I told her I moved in, and tears coming down, you know. But the force was with me because I was fortunate to pick something that I could have passion about. And I don't care what it is, you have to have passion about that. And the passion is all predicated on making the right choice. It's tough doing things in life. It's tough being a parent. It's tough being a teacher, tough being an administrator. It's tough. But when you have passion, something overcomes you and you're able to get through the struggle because you know you made the right decision. There was a question there, please.
Yeah, so you talked a lot about how you value hard work, and anytime there was like an avalanche or something that you felt in front of you, you would
Right.
just work harder.
Right.
Did you ever like experience burnout? And if you did, like what did you do?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very fortunate that I have a valve on the side of my neck. And when the pressure's going too much, it opens up and steam comes out. I'm able to gauge myself. Now, you know, with 3 kids, it's sometimes young kids overwhelming. I don't, you know, and you got to do what you got to do. But you got to be, that goes to the principle of the honesty. Be honest with yourself. And maybe God is sending you a message if you're hitting a brick wall. You know, what you do in life needs to be organic. It needs to be from your soul, from your beliefs, okay? You can never deny that because that will always come back and that will be your avalanche, staring you in the face. Why didn't you go this way? You should have. So if you're organic in nature, you know, no chemicals added, it's pure, Like, for instance, I'll give everything we do in marketing is organic. I'll give you an example. When my wife and I, 13 years ago, were pregnant with our son Max, we went in for the genetic counseling because I, being a little older, they want to tell you what the statistics are of, you know, things going wrong, okay? So we're with this nurse from the Cleveland Clinic, and she had an attitude. You could tell right off the bat she had an attitude. So she's real nice to Stephanie. When it comes to me, she says, "And you are?" I said, "I'm Tim. I'm Stephanie's husband, and I'm father of Max." And she says, she's right there, "And what do you do?" I said, "I handle the maintenance at the trailer park where we live." And she looks and goes, "No, you don't." And I said, "You know what I do." We walk out, Stephanie says, "Bingo, you got your next commercial. I'm Tim Misny, you know what I do." Last Christmas, it was ridiculous, the presents the kids got. It was, you know, friends of family, it was obscene. So I sat the kids down and I said, most of these presents are going to the city mission tomorrow. Pick out 2, 3 favorites. There are kids that don't have presents and they're at the city mission, and we're going to go down there tomorrow and drop these off. So you get to pick 2 or 3 because you had to. So my son raises his hand. At the time he was 12, Max, and he said, and I thought, yeah, Max, what? He said, "Dad, did you know there's a guy in TikTok that can stick an egg up his nose?" The whole lecture about giving and compassion and sharing. Dad, there's a guy that can stick a whole egg up his nose. Oh, wow. Man, wow, come on, you know. So it's a constant struggle, but I'll give you an example. Max wanted a go-kart, and he showed me this go-kart. And I said, "That's great, Max. Why don't you get 2 of them?" He says, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, since you're paying for it, I'll drive one, you drive one." He looks at me. I said, "You'll do work around here when you have enough money, then you can buy the golf cart." Go-kart. So he earned it and he bought it. Now, if you walk in our garage, you walk near his go-kart, he's going to say, "Excuse me, sir, why are you breathing on my, could you step back a little bit? Just a little bit." Because he appreciates it. He appreciates it. But, you know, listen, I understand the craziness of growing up. There's so many things bombarding you guys at once. But what should give you great comfort is that the people here have the answers. They've lived it. They know it. Okay? The resources here are unbelievable. Okay? Going back to my example, when I was a prosecutor, you see some households where kids are abandoned. I'm not kidding, like abandoned. They got to figure out how they're going to eat that day. So you're at the other end of the spectrum. So try to be enlightened about it. You have a great resource here, and utilize it. Please.
Do you ever have court cases that you feel like are ethically or morally wrong, and what do you do when you have?
Boy, that's a great question. That's a great question.
He makes them big.
That's a great question. With what I do, most of the ethical questions in the legal profession happen to criminal lawyers. Okay? I was a prosecutor for 4 years. Then, as I said, I defended police officers for 4 years. Every single day, all day, I confronted ethical, moral questions. Okay? And I couldn't stay in that because it was overwhelming for me. I'm not casting any aspersions on criminal defense lawyers. I know the best ones, and they're fantastic people. But I had a tough time, with it, and that's how, I guess subliminally, that's a great question, I never thought of it, I more gravitated to personal injury law. There's not a whole lot in personal injury law that's ethical, moral dilemma, but that was my experience with it. And you just have to be, and it goes back to the one cornerstone of what? Honesty. You got to be honest with yourself. And if you're honest with yourself, you could live easily with the consequence. If you're not honest with yourself, it will haunt you every day for the rest of your life. Who wants that? More questions, more questions. Please. For his service, a Vietnam veteran. Come on, guys. Finally, you get applause, right? Am I right? Finally, you get applause for your service. Wasn't it that way in 1968?
No, it wasn't.
No, sir.
Anyway, I agree with your statement on your work ethics and attitude and getting you through life. But going through life and doing all of this right, you're still gonna get knocked back a couple steps. It's what you do when you get knocked back, how you get up and go forward.
Thank you. And getting knocked down is one concern as well, and that concern is Pete Rose, arguably the best hitter in the history of baseball. He's not in the Hall of Fame because of some little misunderstandings, but he got a hit 1 out of 3 times. And he's the greatest hitter of all time. 1 out of 3 times Pete Rose got a hit, and he is the greatest hitter of all time. So are you going to be successful every time? You know what? You may not believe this, but it doesn't matter. If you gave it what you had, worked it honestly, to the best of your ability, and let's say you got a B on a test and you hope to get an A. You thought you should have got an A. I applaud you for getting that B. Because you know what? Last month you were a C student. Now you're a B student. Congrats. So find your victories where you can. They may not be every single time that you feel overwhelmed with the success. It's a gradual thing that evolves over years. More questions? I tell my kids, be careful about being in charge. Because when you're in charge, it means 2 things. Number 1, you pay for everything. And number 2, you clean up after everybody. I walk behind my kids all day long cleaning up. Hey, you want to go here? Sure. Here, go. We'll go here. Go. That's what you do when you're in charge. You'll be in charge before you know it. So don't be in a rush. More questions. Come on, come on. Right there. Ask me a question. Yeah, you?
Do you really make them pay?
Oh, man, do I. Forget about it. Forget about it. Did Mike Tyson's uppercut knock somebody out? Come on. Come on.
What do you do in a situation, talk about morals and ethics?
Please. And oftentimes, you only find this out. We're talking about medical malpractice where you may have to sue a doctor or a hospital, okay? A client presents themselves in my office and tells me this seemingly horrific story, okay? What we need is the medical records. So we request the medical records. We have our experts look at it. And if it is at all colorable, I walk away from the case. The only cases juries pay out on are egregious malpractice cases. I'll give you some examples. I'm representing a family now. A man, 50-something, has knee surgery, goes into the Cleveland Clinic, and the nurse puts the wrong name bracelet on. So they look at him and say, okay, you're scheduled for open heart surgery. They wheel him into open heart surgery. He didn't need open heart surgery. He was there for his knee, okay? And he died during the surgery. Now, if you're on my jury, you'd say, that's not right. They fumbled the ball. It's a clear fumble. They fumbled the ball. Now let's compensate this family for his lost wages, etc. So I think 92.5% of all cases that are tried in the United States against doctors and hospitals result in verdicts for the doctor and hospital. The good cases settle. So I take prime cut, I work it up beautifully, and I settle it. It's these cases where you're hoping against hope. It's a gray area. You stay away from those. It's too complicated. The jury's not going to be able to understand it. But I had a case where a mom, inner city mom, takes her baby into a clinic, and the baby had some fever or whatever, and they had to do a spinal tap. So the nurse holds the baby, belly button to belly button, so it's exposing the vertebrae. She puts a needle in to drain some. And the mom says, I think my baby's having a tough time breathing. And the nurse said, well, I'm a professional, you're not, shut up. And then a little later, she says, my baby's having a tough time. She goes, listen, do you want me to call somebody, have you escorted out of here? The lady says, oh, no. A minute later, she hands a dead baby back to the mom. She indeed suffocated the baby in front of the mom. Please.
What's the hardest case you've ever taken?
Hardest case I ever taken. It had nothing to do with the law.
Marriage.
A young lady, boy, brother, Yeah. A client of mine came to my office one day. She was a young lady, and she said she needed a $5,000 advance on her case. I said, really? For $5,000 for what? She says, I need to get an abortion. And I said, I am not passing judgment, but I could tell you something. If you do this, you will regret it. Okay? I've known people that have done it and regretted it. There's a blessing here. Look beyond, see that blessing, embrace it. I am not allowed to pay you money to have a kid. But know this, if there's something I could do after you have the kid, it would be my absolute pleasure. Every Christmas, I get a Christmas card from her with a picture of her and her daughter. Had nothing to do with what I do. But difficult, satisfying, for me, that was a beautiful moment. But it always doesn't work out so good. Please. Well, if I get a few more good questions, in fact, I gotta entice you guys. We have some door prizes for you. My first door prize is a Misny bug. Now, but you gotta ask good questions. Whoever is sitting there like a lump on the log, and we know who you are, you're not gonna get one. We've identified who those characters are, right? But they have a chance to redeem themselves, right?
That'll make them pay.
Yeah. So this is, you guys each get one of these. It's time to make them pay. Priceless. Priceless, priceless. So, a few more questions, please. A few more questions. Yes, sir.
I have one of those classes.
What's your name, man?
I was just thinking of a question as I was in my head, so I don't have a question. We can come back to it.
I'll come back to you, okay? Sir.
Do you deal with car crashes also?
Yes. Really, what personal injury is, it's a very, very big umbrella. Could be someone hurt at work. It could be a car crash. And oftentimes, it could be a pharmaceutical claim that a company is producing a drug that they know hurts people, but they don't put the warning strip on. So really, anytime somebody that is hurt. Sir?
Have you ever had to defend someone who, obviously did something wrong and, won?
Sure. And we were talking before about the criminal thing. When I was defending police officers, I defended a guy, got him off, and then I learned a month later he did something bad, and I felt horrible, and I said, I can't do this. But again, I mean no disrespect to anybody that does criminal defense because they're needed. Let's say, God forbid, somebody's in a bar and they're drinking too much and someone says something about their girlfriend and the guy throws a punch and the guy goes back, who he hits his head, dies. He killed the guy. Everybody in the place saw he killed the guy. Should he be charged with involuntary, manslaughter, murder, what? He had no he had no predisposition. He didn't contemplate killing this guy. He wasn't intending to kill him. He intended to shut him up by punching him in the mouth. Not a good choice, but he didn't. So to make sure you're charged right, that person shouldn't go to the electric chair. So criminal defense lawyers are needed, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. You think of your question yet?
No, I'm trying to think of how I could justify my car crash that I got into.
I don't know. Please.
Have you ever considered running for political office?
Well, the answer is, last year the Ohio Democratic Party contacted me about running for governor. And I said, God has given me everything I ever wanted and I never thought I would have. I have a wonderful wife, family, and as you know, when you make that commitment, that's a time commitment. And I would hate to be, down in Canton at a fundraiser and miss my son's play, or what, you know what I mean? So the answer is no, but have I contemplated? Yeah, because I see so many injustices that are just wrong, and we have to get the pendulum going in the other direction. So, please.
What's the best loophole you found while researching the case? Like in the law? Looking for, out of curiosity.
All right, that's a great question. This guy gets a clock. In fact, he should probably get 2 clocks, and someone over here is going to get nothing. And I think you know who it is, but you have a chance of saving yourself. Okay? All right?
I have a question.
Well, hold on.
All of a sudden, no question, huh?
Yeah, see that? So, yeah, give me your question one more time. I want to hear the whole thing again.
Have you ever found any loopholes or like researching?
Loopholes, okay.
So which one was the best?
I'll give you an example. You're going to like this story. I'll give you an example. I'm a young lawyer, okay? And I get a call from a parent who tells me that their 17-year-old son was driving down to Florida with some buddies for a spring break. And they were in Georgia, and they got stopped by the Georgia Highway Patrol. Unfortunately, he had some amphetamines on him, okay? So he got charged for interstate transportation of a controlled substance, which carries with it a minimum 5-year federal penitentiary visit. He won't come out the same guy. So the family calls me up and they said, Mr. Misny, we will pay anything for you to go down here. I said, no. Hold on. You don't want me going down there. I'm a Yankee. They won't like me. They will like nothing about me. Okay? I'm not their kind of guy. Let me make some phone calls. So I called the judge's bailiff and I said, hi, can you tell me who the judge's campaign chairman was in his last election? He said, yeah, that would be Billy Bob McGee. I said, no kidding. I said, you got Billy Bob's number? Yeah. So I called Billy Bob. I said, hi, Billy Bob. My name's Tim Misny. I'm a lawyer in Cleveland. I need your help with something. I have a young man who got stopped, and I would like to engage your services. He said, Tim, I have to tell you, you picked the right guy, and let me tell you why. The prosecutor's my son-in-law, okay? And the judge, he's a good friend of mine. In fact, I was over his house last night for dinner. I think we could work this out just fine. So he calls me the next day, and he said, would your boy be willing to plea to attempted open container? And I said, Billy Bob, I was a prosecutor for 4 years. I never heard of that one. He goes, yeah, it's something we came up with down here, but it'd be a $150 fine. We get your young man on his way. The loophole? Does that, you see what I'm saying? You know. Now, what is that? That's being street smart. That's thinking on your feet. You may know the law, okay, but as my dad, God rest his soul, would say, book smart, life dumb. He said, my dad used to say affectionately, I don't know if he was talking about my brother or me or both of us, but he said, you send a dummy to college, you get a dummy back. And either you got it or you don't. You got to be able to call audibles at the line of scrimmage, man.
So I want to know if it was half open or half closed.
Isn't that something? I have no idea. I don't think they even had anything in the car. I saw another hand. Please.
What if someone gets like he deserves to get punished for it? You know it's just gonna ruin him. Like he already got the wake-up call. He's not gonna do it again. But
Okay. Are we talking about my son, Max? Or what are we talking? I have this conversation with Max every day. You know, come on, Max, do the right thing because you want to do the right thing. And you're a happier kid when you're getting accolades as opposed to you're in timeout and having privileges taken away. So if the answer to it is, you know, a lot of it is gut. You know, you could memorize the Ohio Revised Code, okay? But you have to have a burning light inside of you that guides you in all times. It could be sunny, it could be raining, it could be snowing. You got a beacon that you're following. It's quite easy. You know, I'm not, you know, oversimplifying your lives. But when you got this beacon, walk to it, man. Embrace it. Put your arms around it. Become one with it. Because it's a beautiful thing and it is the truth. It truly is the rule. Please. Fellas.
I work in a pizza shop.
Yes.
And say a theoretical case that happens.
Yeah.
I'm carrying food, and the handle breaks. Let's say I'm taking it out of the oven and holding it with the.
Right.
Yeah.
Pot holder.
Sure. And I'm walking, and it breaks and spills on one of my coworkers and burns them.
Right.
Say.
Right.
Second-degree burn.
Right.
What would you do in that?
Okay. In Ohio law, you cannot sue your employer, you can't sue a fellow employee, you file a workers' compensation claim. You know? So maybe that's God's way of punishing you for nibbling on all the food when you weren't supposed to. But
What happens if you're?
I'm teasing you, yes.
If you're a high-profile lawyer, either because, either or because people recognize, brand recognition.
Yes.
And also, we're getting sometimes you get these political lawyers who work pro bono, and everybody knows who they are, what their agendas are.
Right.
What would I mean, is there, I guess, sort of a phenomenon that you walk into the case, let's say you walk into a case tomorrow,
Right.
and the judge is sitting there and he goes, oh, it's Tim Misny, like he kind of chuckles himself. Do you find that either puts you to an advantage or disadvantage, either because they know
Thank
your
you.
brand, or because they know all your arguments, they know your methodology?
Great question. The answer to that is virtually everything in life is a double-edged sword. Okay? And the answer is yes, yes. It hurts and helps. It helps from the standpoint that they know I bring very substantive cases. So if I come in, it's going to be a big deal. Okay? And that's the good news. The bad news is they're going to gear up because I'm involved. So they're going to bring in the supervisor in to sit in on the meeting. Okay? And I like that because I like dealing with people who have authority. So like anything else in life, it's a double-edged sword.
But you'll be heard, like
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that having done this for 43 years, I think, I have a resume that's been established. And if I tell an insurance claims adjuster, if you don't pay me X dollars, we're filing a lawsuit, he knows I'm not kidding. You know what I mean? And he knows we'll stand behind it and do what we have to do. So, please.
How long is law school?
Law school typically is 3 years. 3 years. I went in the evening program at Marshall, graduated in 3 years. So I had to, because I had to work full-time during the day, because I had to put food on my table and gas in my car. Please.
What is the hardest part of the process of becoming a lawyer?
The hardest process of becoming a lawyer is trying to become a lawyer without passion and purpose. Okay? I knew that I could not lose. I had to win. What my grandmother said to me, what I was doing, helping people who, like my family, suffered a horrific wrongful death that affected generations of my family. There was purpose of that. And that gave me, the lawyers that I see that typically burn out are lawyers that don't have passion about what they're doing or purpose for what they're doing. Okay? And the beauty of your discipline in school is you're here to find the truth, the big picture truth, the big truth in life, okay? And you take that same effort at finding the truth when you know you found the truth, that's your passion, and that will carry you through. Is it tough? Sure, it's tough. What in life isn't tough? Everything is tough, and just when you think you got it tough, I heard of a young lady who was going to law school, my old law school. She was in the evening program. Single mom, 5-year-old son. I heard a story that she had to make a decision between buying groceries for her and her son or paying her tuition. So I funded a scholarship program for single moms at Marshall Law School who are in the evening program. Because statistically, as you know, if someone's going to college or law school and they take a time out, 90% of the time they never finish. So once you get off track, getting back on is tough. So my hope is that they never get on track. They go to the dean's office and says, listen, I'm $550 short on my rent. Here you go, God bless you, stay in class, okay? So if you have passion and you know it's the right thing, it will carry you through. Yes, young man.
So what was the most ridiculous case you've been involved in or contacted about where you felt like...
Great question, great question, great question. I got a call a few years ago from a little old grandmother, and she said, Mr. Misny, I took a bad fall and broke my leg, blah, blah. Oh, I'm sorry to hear what happened. I was in a mall. Okay, what happened? I'm going down an escalator, and I fell, and I broke my leg. I said, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I said, how did it happen? She goes, like I said, I fell. I said, no, was there something defective in the handrail or something? No, there's nothing defective. I just fell and broke my leg. I said, well, what theory do you think I should share with the jury as to why the mall is responsible for your broken leg? Her voice changes. It was something out of like demon scene or something. Her head spun around 3 times, and she said, They should have had an MFN elevator. Wow. Oh, I don't know what to say to that. Have a nice day. Good luck. You know? I don't know. Please.
Have you ever seen Better Call Saul? Or do
You know
have-
what?
do you have an opinion on TV lawyers?
I got to tell you, Better Call Saul is very true in the gritty context of criminal law. Okay? The people that you're representing, their witnesses, the whole process is horrible. It's diseased. And you cannot, my dad used to have a saying, you sleep with the garbage, you wake up in the morning smelling like garbage. Okay? Yes. Now, my dad enlisted in the Army in World War II after Pearl Harbor, and I don't know what, he didn't graduate from high school, but a hard-working man and a work ethic you wouldn't believe. And if you look around you, all the people, your figureheads here, if one thing you could emulate from them is their work ethic, is their dedication to principle, that is what will help you transcend in life. When you know you got that special gear, your faith, everybody else has 4 gears, you got 5. So guess what? You're in a neck-and-neck race, you slap it in 5th gear and you blow away. And you look in the rearview mirror and you wave to them. Why is that? Because you leaned on your faith. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Why not? I mean, if I got this great mountain bike at home, oh my God, it has shock absorbers, a big seat, comfortable, And if I have to go a mile, I'm going to ride my bike. Why not? Why not embrace your faith? Because it's true. It is true. It works. It will transcend and carry you in the toughest times. When my wife and I when we were married, I winked at her and she got pregnant. Well, unfortunately, we had 5 miscarriages. Okay? Did God test my faith? Oh, yeah. But we were stronger and we relied on that faith that carried us through. If we didn't have faith in a higher calling, we would not be married today. We wouldn't have a family. It was tough. And you're going to run into tough things in life. Some of them are fair. Some of them aren't fair. Some of them are your fault. Some of them aren't your fault. It's irrelevant because now you got to deal with it. And how do you deal with it? 2 factors, work ethic and honesty. Work ethic and honesty. And I will guarantee you that is a guaranteed recipe for success. What do I mean by success? When I was in high school, my senior year for the yearbook, they asked me a question. My 50th anniversary is next year. The question was, what are your goals? As an 18-year-old kid, I wrote, my goal is to be at peace with my God, my fellow man, and myself. To be at peace with my God, my fellow man, and myself. After half a century, I'm not there, but I'm headed in the right direction. I may never completely be there. I may never be sitting on that front porch drinking the lemonade and I say, I arrived, this is great. No, it doesn't work that way. There's always somebody coming in your blind side. There's always a problem. But I feel very much I'm in that direction. Another question.
You saying that you were working since you were 12, do you regret any of it?
No,
Or
I have to tell you, I give thanks for every experience I've had, the good, the bad, the ugly. Because along the journey, I think I've learned a lot about life and the purpose of life. So sometimes God put me in trick bags that I really didn't deserve, but that struggle to get out of that trick bag made me who I am. And all things contribute to that. Yes?
Like, other than, like, knowing history and stuff, like, what social skills do you think are important to be a good lawyer? Like, you obviously think a psychology, you know?
Right. Well, it helps to be a snappy dresser. Did you hear what I said? It helps to be a snappy dresser. That's a joke. I'm a funny guy. Okay. So, what other skills? I apologize if I sound like a broken record going back to my principles. The skill, and it is a skill, to embrace your honesty and the work ethic. And you know what? I used to play a lot of golf before I got married. Now I don't touch a club. But in golf, it was all fundamentals. It was fundamentals. And in life, if you rely on fundamentals, your principles, it's going to carry you through. And you're going to find that you're much more even keel. You want to avoid the roller coaster. You know, like, are you going to get expelled, or are you going to get some academic accolades? You don't want that in life. You want to be like a good stock. Goes up 4 or 5% every year. And after 25 years, 50 years, oh my God, your life is so valuable. By valuable, I don't mean making money, driving a fancy car. I'm talking about at the end of the day, when you put your head on a pillow, you thank God for giving you the privilege to work hard. And that's what I do every night. I thank God for the privilege of working hard. I don't pray to win the lottery or pray to blah, 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 blah. No, I control that, what I'm going to do. I thank God for the privilege of being able to work hard. And that's what it is, my friends. It is a privilege to be here, and it's a privilege to excel here, and it's a privilege to take the principles that you're learning here and down the road influence people in a positive way, like these tremendous mentors influence you every day. And you may influence somebody in a way that you never know. I'll tell you one quick story. Years ago, 25 years ago, I was at a gardening center, and I bought a bunch of stuff, and a young man was helping me put the plants in my pickup truck. Well, 25 years later, someone says, "Hey, Tim, there's something on Facebook about you." And of course, when I say that, I'm paranoid. Like, oh my God, what did I do? What, is it something embarrassing? What? No, it was nice. What it was, a mentor detective posted his retirement. And he said, nobody knows this story, but I'm going to tell you this story. 25 years ago, I was working at Gales. And a guy came in, and he asked me, he said, "What's your story, kid?" And I told him that I wanted to be a police officer, but my dad thinks I'm a loser. My dad thinks it'd be a waste of time, that I could never do it. And this man said to me, "Let's prove your dad wrong. Let's use that as energy, as fuel to accomplish it. It's going to be tough. They're going to try to wash you out of the academy. That's their goal. Hang in there, and I promise you'll be a success." He said, "You know who that guy was? He was Tim Misny." So the principles you're learning here in life, I guarantee you something. You will share those principles down the road. They'll come out of your pores naturally. And people will be positively influenced, whether it is a family member, your child, whether it's a business associate, whether it's a complete stranger. He's going to say, "You're special. What you just said, I feel an aura about you. Tell me about yourself." And you're going to say about your education, they're going to say, "You know what? That makes sense because you are enlightened. I could tell that. And thank you for sharing that." So have a good life, and a good life means working hard and being honest. And wherever the journey takes you, you will be ready and you will do great. And you will make these fine men proud of you. You'll make your parents proud of you. And more than that, what really matters, you're going to be proud of yourself. How about that? You're going to be proud of yourself. God bless you.